promise this will not be a haul, but an honest conversation that touches on something that has been a reoccurring topic for the both of us that has been coming up in our worlds lately. And we're going to talk today about burnout, but specifically burnout and how it affects Black women. This is like I said, a topic that has been coming up a lot lately in our worlds, and it would only be right if we discussed it with you all and had a very honest and transparent conversation. We're the same people we were the last video. I'm Oshonda.
I'm Ayesha.
This is Aesthetics and Opulence, and let's sit down and have a great conversation in regards to burnout and how it affects Black women.
All right.
So I will be honest with you and say that I experienced burnout a while ago, to be totally honest with you. And honestly, I didn't even know. She always
once again, Siri interrupts us.
This bitch always has something to say. Okay, she always has something to say. She doesn't understand that I've experienced burnout, but I experienced it while I was working, when I was employed, and I was working 40 plus hours. Really, I was working like 80 hours a week. I was working 7 days a week at times, just trying my best to hustle. And I was burning myself out, and I really didn't see it at the time because I was just focused on excelling and jumping through hoops to fit certain categories that I thought of a person that was sold to me I had to be in order to elevate in my career. And in turn, it ended up really taking me down a very dark path. Once it was all said and done, I had an opportunity to sit, and I'm sitting with that opportunity right now after I was laid off, to just look back on everything that I went through and everything I did to get to where I was. And that burnout, it's real. I'll just say that. And lately I've been, like I told you, a lot of my friends who are in the workforce right now have been talking about how they're burned out. I actually had somebody look at me and tell me their soul was tired. And I was like, my God, sis. I didn't know what to do with that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. I just felt like it was a topic that we needed to address. And from my experience,
and
Ayesha's experience that's currently going through it. You know, I pray to God I'm on the tail end of my burnout just with therapy, and we'll talk more about that. And just recognizing what I was going through and kind of putting a name to it all. So,
yeah, I think my profession, the profession that I work in, I deal with other people that are dealing with burnout, right? And I think sometimes when that happens, you kind of ignore that you're getting burned out. You overlook it, you mask it, you just keep it moving. And I have personally gotten to, I think I've hit a wall. And I actually think it started last year. Mm-hmm. It's been a minute, mm-hmm. and I think I just keep pushing through it. But I finally think I've hit that wall where I'm at the stage of being burned out. I really am. And the other day, I actually posed a question on my Facebook page. I had been thinking about doing this, and somebody else suggested I do it, and I finally did it, where I just said, hey, look, I'm looking to possibly transition out of a career field that I've been in for 20 years. I just don't know where to start, right? Like, I don't know what my transferable skills are because I'm getting burned out. In the profession that I am a part of, you are constantly giving to other people. You are constantly giving advice. You're constantly being a listening ear. You're constantly trying to solve problems. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking to yourself, I can't even solve my own problems right now, right? Like, or you're listening to the person telling you their issues, mm-hmm. Or complaints, and you're thinking, I'm going through the same thing, but I can't necessarily tell you that I'm going through the same thing because I'm supposed to be sitting here counseling you. Mm-hmm. So it can lead to that, you know. And I think when the pandemic hit, almost like 2 years ago, a lot of people, you know, and I've talked about this when I've had spoken to other people or whatever, the whole Great Resignation.
Yeah.
And I think that happened because of burnout. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, for women of color, the one thing for us is we're always trying to be super women, Right? Like, I'm trying to be Superwoman. I'm trying to handle and juggle everything. And unfortunately, when we do that, we burn out.
Correct.
And we probably have burned out a long time ago, but we just keep moving. And so, as Oshonda noted, yes, I'm at that stage right now where I am truly burned out. I'm not afraid to say it anymore that I'm burned out, or hold it in, and just being honest about it. And again, this is another topic I think for both of us. Kind of went back and forth about discussing it, right? Because it's letting kind of people into your personal world. But if we want to be as honest and upfront as possible, and hopefully help at least one person, that's what we want to do.
Absolutely. And just to bring something to you all's attention, Ayesha mentioned Superwoman. Maybe you all didn't know this, because I didn't until probably a month or so ago, that Superwoman is actually a syndrome. It's called Superwoman Syndrome, and I read this whole article about Superwoman Syndrome and how Black women are faced with Superwoman Syndrome. And it is based upon how we were raised and being resilient, how resiliency is at the forefront of how a majority of Black women are raised. We can do it ourselves, independence, be strong, etc. That's where the whole Superwoman Syndrome comes in. And to read that case study was amazing to me, because they did a range of ages. And it was interesting to see how many women were afraid to speak about how they felt inside, meaning that they were tired, they were burned out, they were overworked, that they just wanted to stop and slow down, but they couldn't. Everything was, I can't. And what that leads to is you feel like you can't be vulnerable, right? And we have a thing with vulnerability. I will be 1,000% honest with you. Vulnerability is my biggest Achilles heel. And for the last 2 years, I've been really trying to work on being vulnerable and being in tune with my feelings, because that's not something that I would ever cast a light on. And I'm not telling you that, I'm spilling my feelings now, because I'm just really not. It's a constant work. But in it being a constant work, when we're not vulnerable with each other, with our peer circle, we experience burnout. So we want to talk about this article, another article that we bumped into that touches on Black women and burnout in the workplace, right?
And can I say something really quickly too, just to kind of add, and you kind of said that, I think, towards the end of your statement, is where I feel like as Black women, as women, period, we don't share enough to let other women know and into our space that, girl, I am tired. Right? Girl, I am burned out. I'm over it. I don't know what to do. And again, I think it's because we try to put on this mask or have this persona that we have it all together. Again, Superwoman, I got it. I'm well put together. No need for me to complain, because if I do, I'm looked at as if I'm weak. I can't handle something. I'm not strong enough, not smart enough. And I think that's so unfortunate. I really do, because I am personally trying to get to the point where, yes, maybe I do need to share more of how I feel, because it really may help somebody else. I know for me, when I have shared when I felt a certain way or what have you, and to hear other people respond back to that and say, man, I'm in that same spot, it's like, okay, I'm not the only one. And I think that's kind of where this conversation is coming from with us as well. But I want to just say, I feel like as women, we need to share a little bit more with each other and not judge each other when we share, right? Because that's the thing.
It as a weapon, the information that you get when someone's sharing from you. And then also, we're not in competition with each other. Like, that's something else I would love for us to put to rest, is competing with each other. We're not in a competition. We're honestly in a sisterhood. You should be running your own race, and you should be your biggest competition, not the person to the left or right of you, and definitely not anybody in your peer circle, because you should be able to be vulnerable with the people that are in your peer circle, not masking things. The whole check on your strong friends. No, check on everybody. Check on everybody.
Everybody need to be checked on.
Your strong friend, they do be the last one on the list, because I'm the strong friend, and I always know I'll be the last one on the list. But check on everybody. Lord have mercy, check on everybody, please and thank you.
So one of the articles, I think, Ashonda brought it up to my attention recently. She sent it to me. She's like, hey, look at this article. Like, we've been talking about this recently about burnout, and look at this article. And the article was called "Here's How to Actually Help Women of Color with Burnout," right? And they give you, I think it's like 5 different points of, you know, how to help women with burnout to improve their well-being and career fulfillment. And so I think we kind of just want to talk about, I guess, each of these points.
Yeah.
And how it relates, or...
But first I want to talk about the signs of burnout. So, because you might not know that you're experiencing burnout. So one, I think we should pull up what the signs of burnout are, which is there. It talks about what the signs of burnout are.
Exhaustion. So it says burnout is a syndrome defined as a prolonged response to chronic interpersonal stressors on the job, characterized by exhaustion, okay.
Let me see that. Cynicism.
Thanks. And detachment, and a lack of accomplishment from your work. So that is a sign, some signs of burnout. So stressors on your job, exhaustion, detachment, and where you feel like there's a lack of accomplishment from your work. I also think too, I think that's just touching some stuff. I feel like when you just totally like lose interest in stuff, you don't have the energy to do, because this right here is
that's the thing. Another article I read, which is on my phone, and I can't see it because we're recording from my phone, touches on that lack of interest. The first part of burnout, it talked about how you go gun ho and you're going hard, and then it's lack of interest, and then it is attention. You can't focus, lack of focus and attention. Then it's isolation.
But that also, to me, are signs of depression.
Correct.
And so the correlation right there is crazy, because if that's what they're saying also is a sign of burnout, that's also signs of depression.
Correct.
And so that burnout is leading to depression again. And I think sometimes we don't recognize that, even when we have depression. And, oh boy, like that is definitely something both of us can can speak on. But I think that leads to the burnout, leads to the depression. It does. And that's where I feel like the exhaustion and the lack of, where you're detached, that's where that comes into play. And even if you're in a position or on a job that takes so much from you, by the end of the day, you don't have enough for yourself. You don't have energy to do anything to take care of yourself or your family, right? And for those of you who do have, a husband and kids, yes, you also are trying to do not only just stuff with work, you're trying to do stuff with your family, but sometimes you got to just do something for yourself. Yeah. Because if you're not whole and if you're not okay, you can't take care of others.
Yeah, as they say, you can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right. And so you have to allow people to take care of you and pour back into you, right? And again, realize I can't do everything. I need help. Yeah. And so that's interesting how that correlates, right? That burnout, and then, which I feel like is the same, it leads to depression. Yeah. So, yeah. So did you want to kind of get into like the different...
Let's talk about it.
So, well, this is also interesting too. It says the number one thing is be aware and address 3 key factors. The first key factor is women of color are often subject to external thoughts and expressions in the form of microaggressions, and for some it can be exhausting, impacting self-worth and identity. You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
So it says microaggressions come in 3 forms: micro assaults, micro insults, and micro invalidations. So micro insults are verbal and nonverbal communication that convey rudeness and insensitivity and demean a person's racial heritage or identity. Micro invalidations, communications that I can't talk today. Negate someone's thoughts or feelings and the reality of a person of color. And then micro assaults, which is using racial insensitive language. So, number 1, women of color are often subject to external thoughts and expressions in the form of microaggressions, and for some it can be exhausting, impacting self-worth and identity. So basically, I look at that like your racism. like it's racism, or someone's already perceived notion of who you are because of the color of your skin.
Well, absolutely. We talked about that over dinner when I told you I read the article in regards to being an introvert and how hard it is for Black women in the workplace to be introverts, because being an introverted Black woman does not fit the stigma that most people have of Black women, where we're loud, we're the life of the party, we're sassy, we're at the forefront. That again, that's a microaggression, because if you don't fit into that box, then they say that can hold you back from being promoted, because that's what make people outside of women of color comfortable, because of the box they put us in, what they know us to be.
Yes.
And when we don't fall into what they know us to be, it becomes a problem. You become hard to read. That's what the article said. You become disconnected. You become not a team player. You become distant and rude. They can't connect or read you. And those things, they will say, will stop your growth.
Yep. All excuses, right? These are all excuses to basically hold you back, right? And the other thing, it says being overworked and underpaid, or knowing that your work isn't valued in the same way as your peers, can bring about cynicism. Thank you, and detachment. Now that I know I could personally speak on, and both of us actually can.
Yeah, I'm retired now, so I ain't been discriminated against in over a year. So I'm in here like, they did what, girl?
We're discriminated against on a job.
Oh, yeah, on my job. I haven't been discriminated against or held back on a job in over a year. But with you dealing with it, I'd be like, girl.
Because it's like you're overworked, underpaid, and knowing that your work isn't valued. Like the worst thing that you could do, or the worst thing that you could feel, is if you're working so hard on something every single day and it's not valued by the people that you're supporting or working around. And that is so disheartening and discouraging. And, especially if it's your team, your peers, like that is really hard to deal with. I think I have been on teams or in organizations where, yes, I have felt quite a few times where I wasn't valued, my work wasn't valued, my experience wasn't valued, my voice wasn't valued. Now, I said this to my sister the other day, and you may hear this a lot, but there's a saying that people do not leave companies, they leave managers. And that is very, very true. You could be at the best company, an absolutely awesome organization. But if you have a manager, and I'm going to even throw in peers, if you have a manager or peers that are disrespectful, don't value you, don't listen to you, that right there can make you just say, you know what, I don't even want to be here anymore, right? Like I'm not being heard. I'm not being listened to. Also, just imagine if that's happening on your job, but what if you're dealing with that in your personal life as well?
Yeah.
And so you're getting it from both sides, right? Like you're not being heard, or you feel like you're not valued over in your personal life. And then you're also feeling that way at work. And I'm not saying that's me. I'm just saying like there's people that deal with that and they don't feel like they have a voice. And I think it's also, and here's the thing. I know we're talking about Black women, women of color. We're talking about this as Black women and women of color because we are Black women.
It's our experience.
We are women of color, okay?
Right.
And we're speaking from experience. The thing about it is, too, is when you do speak up or try to voice a concern or opinion, and as Oshonda said, then you're looked at as being aggressive or disrespectful, not open or flexible. And I just think that's so
and not adaptive to change.
Yes. And I just think that's so unfortunate, and there's something else I want to say about it, and I guess I'll get into that too. Just about us as Black women, even in the workplace. So I'll get to that one as well. But I don't know. Did you want to?
You better touch on it.
No.
Wait till she touch on it. I'm here for this. You better touch on it.
So I didn't know if you want to speak on that part of it too, being overworked and underpaid.
Absolutely, being overworked and underpaid. I think you touched on it very well. Just to bring some light to the subject, for every $1 a white man makes, a black woman makes 69 cents. Let's talk about
62.
62.
Latinos 54, Asian women 90 cents.
62. I tried to give us a few more coins. Okay, 62 cents. Like, let that sit in your spirit. 62 cents. And I could tell y'all a story, but I'm gonna leave the story and just say I can validate the fact that that is absolutely true. No matter how much education you have, because between the two of us, we have all the education. Okay? All of the education. So I don't want to hear in the comments, well, you know what kind of degree they had. Ain't one that we ain't got. Degrees.
But see, you know what, with you even talking about that, and again, we've had this discussion, I've had this discussion with other people as well. And again, that's another topic for another day, but we're going to touch on it right now. Is even when she talked about degrees, when you look at, for this to say, black women 62 cent, Latinos 50, Latinos 54 cent, and then Asian women 90 cent, right? To Oshanda's, to what she just said, I have 2 degrees, I have a certification in the field in my career. And I guarantee you I'm not probably compensated as well as I should be with those things. But I may have a counterpart that's not the same complexion as me, that do not have the same experience or degrees or, education, and probably getting paid more than me, right? And again, that's disheartening. That's unsettling to me. Because we have to work even harder. We have to bring even more. Let me tell you something. I just got my certification a year ago. Okay? And I've been in my field for over 20 years. And I kept putting it off. Because I was like, man, first and foremost, I don't like taking tests. Secondly, I was like, okay, but I've been working in the field. Like, why do I need the certification? Yeah. Okay. But I finally did it. And let me tell you why I finally did it. Because I had a manager say to me, okay, she wasn't a black woman, but I had a manager say to me, well, if you want to progress in your career, you might want to consider getting that certification. So basically saying, I'm not going to go any further than where I was because I didn't have my certification. I sat there and I let that thing sizzle in my spirit.
She did.
As Country Wayne would say. Yeah, I let that sizzle in my spirit for a minute. I did. And it got me kind of upset too, because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I know some other black women that are executives in organizations that work in the same field that I do, and I don't think they have a certification. And I was like, okay. But it also sizzled in my spirit, put a fire under me to be like, I'm going to prove her wrong. Watch this. I'm going to get the certification. I sat up there, didn't tell her that I sat up there. I ended up studying for the certification. She had no clue. I sat for the 3 months, I think, if that I studied for it, and even had a book this small. It was like HR for Dummies, but anyway, it was like almost not HR for Dummies, but like clip notes, right? Studied for probably about 2.5 months.
She studied that hard because a lot of times she was managing them restaurants on her phone, and I had to come in there and be like, hey,
man,
why are we not reading our books?
So, hey, listen, that's beside the point. But I took the exam. That was probably one of the hardest exams I've taken. Passed it on the first try. I sat there and walked out to my car and cried. And do you know the first person I called, I think was you. The second person I called wasn't even my mom, was that manager. She didn't know I was taking the test that day. She had no clue. And I told her, hey, guess what? I just sat for my XYZ certification and I passed. Oh my gosh, for real? Shocked the hell out of her. Because she didn't know that I was even thinking about moving forward with it or studying for it or none of that, right? But for me, on a personal level, I felt like, I'm going to prove you wrong. What do you mean? But here's the thing. She told me all that. That was a year ago. I still ain't progressed. No promotion came out of it. No more money outside of a merit, yearly merit. But I'm saying all that to say this. They tell us that we have to do so much more than others. But then when we do it, we still aren't being compensated.
Yeah.
We're still not being promoted, and it's still not valued. And just like I thought, the people who I know that are executives, that I was like, I know good and well these two particular people don't have that certification, I follow back up with them and they don't. You see what I'm saying? So my point is, again, we are put in these situations where we, again, are told that we have to do 10, 20 times more than our counterparts that don't look like us, and there's still no justification around, or what you call it, means behind us doing those things and even being compensated or promoted.
And again, that type of pressure will lead to burnout.
Yes.
And you won't recognize it because you're chasing something, but that level of pressure will lead you to being burned out. Just remember, and this is a lesson I learned, just remember there's always going to be something. Okay? And once you get that in your mind, that there's always going to be something, then you know you have an extra tool in your tool belt in order to play the game accurately. And I think that's a different topic for another day. But I'll just say, always know that it's always going to be something. And normally what they tell you need is just buying them time.
Yep. Very true. I see it on my job.
Yeah.
I see it. I've seen it personally. I've seen it in your life as well. So you're right. It is buying time. It's to continue to put you off, right? Stroking the little ego that you may have, or again, just buying time. And what's crazy is we just talk. I'm literally just didn't even see this was the next point. We're just talking about systematic career advancement and career and growth barriers.
Yeah.
Pretty much half of 49% of Black women feel their race will make it harder to get a raise or a promotion compared to 11% of women overall. And then in 2020, women of color represented 18% of entry-level positions. Few advanced to leadership positions. So managers, there were only 12% of Black women. Senior managers and directors, 9%. VPs, 6%. SVPs, 5%. C-suite positions, 3%. And below are the total 2020 management positions in the U.S. held by women of color. Asian women, 2.2%. Black women, 4.1%. And Hispanic women, 4.5%. Recently, Rosalind Brewer, who is now the CEO of Walgreens, yes, she was with Starbucks. When I tell you this woman is like, woo, she is, to me, I think she's phenomenal.
Beast.
Absolutely phenomenal, right? Ooh, just poised and just, well-spoken, smart. But she just got, I think she's the highest paid, is it African-American or just woman?
Woman.
Executive. That's sad. To me, I think that's sad that we have to be so excited and celebrate this Black woman, being the highest paid woman right now as far as an executive. Why is that just happening in 2022? This should have been happening, right? And also, too, just looking at her and her growth, her progression, and how well she's done. And sometimes I want to pick people's brains like that and be like, how did you do it? Like, how did you get past, the naysayers? How did you get past the barrier of what we call that imposter syndrome? Like, how did you get past that to keep moving forward? And who are those individuals that actually saw you? Not saw you, but actually saw you and saw your potential and said, I will vouch for her. Not only be a mentor, but I will be a sponsor, and spoke about you in rooms that you were not in. See, that's how you get to that kind of position. You do. That's just my opinion.
You and I, we bounce back and forth when it comes to that. I'm a little different. Now, I do believe that you should have people that have a seat at the table, that have a voice on your behalf, because I did, and that, and that's how I made it to where I was in my career until that seat became vacant. So I do believe that that's a part of it. But I also believe that a part of it is you and how much tenacity that you have and belief in yourself that you have. I don't know if you've ever read this book called The Grit Factor. it's a tough read, but it talks about which one gets you further in life, grit or knowledge. And the answer is grit. And grit and tenacity are the same thing. Is the ability to get knocked down 6 and stand up 7. Really, is all it is. That's what's going to keep you going. So I do believe you need an advocate. I do believe you need a mentor. I do believe you need to know people that are in places that you want to be in. But I also believe that that fire that has to be in you to keep getting knocked down and get back up and get at it is super important to me. I believe it's super important as well, because it takes, I can guarantee you, if you had the opportunity to sit down and talk to her, which one day I believe that you will, because I believe that you'll be in one of those positions sooner than later if you just take the brakes off yourself. But that's another conversation for another day, when we can talk about her. We'll do a video to let you know about both of us, like who we are and like our skill sets. And you will see, just like she got on this denim shirt and I got on black, yin and yang, baby, we are two servant leader, home chilling.
No,
thought leader, servant leader.
No, but
we're different.
But listen,
that's a video for another day.
No, but listen, because I think, and it's different in a good way, right? And so I'm the older sister, but I do look up to her simply because Oshonda will sit up here and that grit factor, she has it. Mm-hmm. Now me, you probably could knock me down a little bit and I'd be like, "Ooh, it's gonna take me a minute to get back up. I'm hurt," or, "Ooh, that was a big blow," right? And then I'll keep punching. Right, Shonda will probably get knocked down, and she be like, "Bring it. What else you got?"
I jump up fast, like I ain't hurt.
Quick. Woo! Like, and she goes even harder.
I go harder, but that's not necessarily smart.
But I think it depends on everybody's personality is different. So just like you said with the grit factor and how you operate, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, I think there are people who don't need cheerleaders and don't need sponsors and don't need mentors, and there are some of us that need that support, because I feel like it's nothing wrong with either one. It's
neither one.
I just feel like, the person who may need that push or that you got it, that's just who they are. That's their personality. What the different personality, those tests they have.
Enneagram or whatever that is. And I agree wholeheartedly, just being in a leadership role. Like I told you, I had to manage my team differently. Some of them did need me to stroke their hair. Some of them was like, just leave me alone and check in on me, once a week. Mm-hmm. And some of them I had to be like this with every day.
What you doing?
Hey, what you doing? How?
Any work today?
Yeah. How you feeling? Are we going to produce today, or you want to talk? You want to practice an interaction? You want to get warmed up with it before we slide in there? And where are we at? Mm-hmm. So definitely, straight up. So, I definitely do believe that, but I do believe in advocacy. I do believe in mentorship, but I believe just as much in grit and tenacity and being your own voice, because what I'm seeing in this day and age, people ain't trying to help you. They don't give a damn. They like, I'm trying to help people. This them taking the oxygen mask. You over there like this. I'm breathing okay. And it is one of those adages, put the mask on yourself first. But I'm like, baby, when you got the mask on and you breathing, can you help me? Can you put in a word so I can get some oxygen, so I can be okay as well? But, I just feel like a part of that advocacy, mentorship, absolutely having a voice. And you said this, I believe in having a mentor that don't look like you.
I just recently had one at my job. I did. And I couldn't, he actually reached out to me. Didn't even work in the same field that I do. And when I tell you, this man probably gave me so much honest feedback and made me think about stuff, sent me a book. You need to be in a leadership position. Why are you holding yourself back? I would tell her, I keep telling you that, but it was just so... And I think I've sometimes shied away from looking for a mentor that doesn't look like me, because my mindset is always, they don't understand my struggle. Like, they don't understand how I feel when I'm frustrated. They don't understand the struggle. They don't understand how it feels to be a black woman in corporate America. They just don't understand. But what I also find hard is sometimes the ones that do look just like me, sometimes can be even worse. Okay? And let's just talk about it. Let's be real about it. And so that's kind of a struggle, right? And I've heard so many executive and professional women say what you just said. I've gone to like speaking engagements and literally heard these women say this, like, yeah, you know, one of my biggest mentors or biggest sponsors was a older white male. Or one of my biggest sponsors was a white female. And it's like, what? And again, I'm not trying to be naive or oblivious. I really am not. I just think it's your preference and how you felt, but I'm not against it, right? Like, I'm not against that anymore, but I also want to make sure that this person also has my best interests at heart too, and not just trying to do something for D&I, for diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Trying to put a band-aid on that guilt. That ain't what we want.
Because now, you know, the big thing is, of course, D&I and organizations, and so a lot of that is driven by, okay, well, let's go out and get us someone who doesn't look like us and mentor them. No, I need for you to be sincere about this. You know, so ooh, child, I'm on my soapbox, but that's
why we're here. Because if we're feeling it, we know that somebody else out there is feeling it. Especially with all of these resignations, people are wanting to change careers. People have had time where they've been laid off and have time to think. So just know that you're not by yourself, but I think it's super important for us to be able to put words to how we feel. And I think a lot of times we don't know the words to put to how we feel. And
we shy away from it.
I want us to be able to use our words in regards to how we're feeling and understand the feelings that we're having. That way we can quickly address those feelings and move through them. Not past them, through them. And be able to kind of like heal and, you know,
and grow from it. I think, you know, also too, a lot of times, and again, speaking from a professional standpoint, and we can throw personal in there as well, but right now, you know, we're of course talking about professional, but I think, again, going back to individuals who look like us on a professional level, sometimes we don't treat each other well. We don't support. We don't have honest conversations, right? We burn each other out sometimes. I shy away sometimes with even saying what I do from a career standpoint, because I feel like sometimes as soon as I say what I do, it's like, ooh, then all the questions start coming, or I need help with this, and I'm like, yo, like I can't save the world. You know what I'm saying? And I can't. I mean, it's just the honest to God truth, you know, and you know that, like, as soon as you say it, she even had to deal with that with the job she had in the industry she worked in. Ooh, girl, you work. Oh, child. Like, it's just, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that. Because before I feel like this. It's almost like LinkedIn. So anybody that's on LinkedIn, and I'm going to tell you my pet peeve on LinkedIn, I'll tell you right now, is I understand LinkedIn is about connecting. And LinkedIn is supposed to be about connecting professionally. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like lately LinkedIn is almost like Instagram and Facebook. But I digress. But on LinkedIn, people connect with you. And what's crazy is I think I have probably over 1,000 connections. I don't even know half these people.
She do. And one day we'll talk about why she do.
No. But, and then I'll get, here's the thing. And then I'll get connections or invitations. I'm like, yep, I know what this is probably about to be about, right? And so I'll get the connection. Boom, I get a message in my inbox. Hi, I see you work for such and such company. I saw a job there. Can you please pass my resume on? Or could you talk to me a little bit more about it? No. And I don't say no to them. I'm very polite. But in my head, I automatically am like, I don't even know you, right? Like, I don't know who you are. How can I put my mouth or speak on you or pass something on about you and I don't even know who you are, right? And I think sometimes people take advantage of your role and who you are or what you do, but don't necessarily want to reach back out to you or help you. Yeah. Does that make any sense?
That's because we live in a very opportunistic.
Yes, and constantly are pulling from you. Yeah, that's constantly doing that. Mm-hmm. And if you probably sit up here and tell somebody that you even personally know, and they ask you a question about something in your field, and let's say if you finally be like, "Nah, I can't answer that for you. I can't help you," and then they'll get mad, then you feel obligated to try to help. Because you don't want, she may not. But for me, it's like you don't want to feel like I'm coming across as, not being nice or whatever the case may be. But my thing is sometimes I truly want to separate professional from personal. I do. It's almost like someone that's a doctor. Someone that's a lawyer, right? Like, if you're a doctor and people know that you're a doctor and you out all the time.
They be like, I got fun on my own.
Can you tell me what
it is? Can you look at that and tell me what it is?
What?
I'm not at the office. I don't know.
I just think that if they're not working, why are you bombarding them with questions like that? Or someone's an attorney. Hey, look here.
My brother got locked up last week.
You think you can do pro bono? What in the world? So I think also, too, we run into that as well. You know what I'm saying?
I don't run into nothing now, because let me tell you, I'm just at the house. I'm just nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody.
That's another topic, right? Even with, I don't know. What? You want to talk about your situation? I mean,
what y'all want to know? I'm here. I'm at the house.
Well,
I've been here. I'm here at the house. If anybody needs me, I'm at home.
Listen, this is going back to, again, network, right?
Yeah.
Being willing to help. I have had some pretty cool people, that I've had my sister, connect with, right? She knows people she's had connect with to try to gain employment. Let's just say that.
Listen, she trying to sugarcoat it because she like, I don't know if I should put your tea out there.
No, it's not that.
I don't know you want to talk about it.
I just know.
I know how you are. This is the bottom line. In December of 2020, I was laid off from a job that I was at for almost 5 years. It was a 15-year career in retail. I'd been in retail for 15 years. And in this particular brand I was with for almost 5 years, and I was an associate director for that brand. And that's saying it lightly that I was an associate director for that brand. I was a lot more than an associate director for that brand, but that was my official title. I'd run the store several times alone. I'd been put through a lot of hoops to try to get to the director level, but I was never good enough, aka too dark, too fat, and too opinionated. Bottom line, if you ever go into a luxury retail space, the director will not look like me. Okay, she will be blonde, or he will be a number for you, but she won't look like me. So I got laid off. My store was closed, and ever since I've been laid off now, going on 1 year and 5 or so months, I have not been able to find a job. Let's just be real about it. I don't know what God's plan is for me right now, but this sabbatical. In this sabbatical, I've been learning a lot about myself.
Yeah.
And recognizing
she's had some rest, because this thing,
baby,
was an Energizer bunny. You hear me?
When I work, baby, I work. I don't shy from it. I work. I put it all in there. I give everything.
She
that
get
I
that
have.
truly from her mama and her daddy.
Right. I gives it all at the sacrifice of many and a lot, but I will give it all. I gave a lot to my team. I gave a lot to my job, because I take things like that very seriously.
Great manager.
But nevertheless, I cannot find a job. Okay, baby. Everybody across any corporations, y'all know my name. Y'all done seen 4 versions of that resume. For everything from director, business leader, okay? Y'all done seen it. Y'all know who O is. Y'all. So now you can put a face to the name on the resume, because I took my picture off LinkedIn because I thought maybe if they didn't know I was black, they would hire me, but it got me more views when I did it. But Oshonda, okay, big Oshonda. Don't nobody name start with O's except Nigerians and me, okay? But never, I digress. I have not been able to secure employment. I've had several interviews where I've been told I'm either overqualified or they don't understand the transition from retail to a corporate infrastructure or whatever.
And she's working a corporate job.
Yeah, and I used to work for IBM. I do have corporate experience. But either way, this is where I'm at. So when you all hear me speak vaguely about what it is I do, I don't do nothing right now. I'm lifing. Okay? Let me say that. I'm out here lifing. And I thank
But it's
God.
taxing.
Oh yeah, shit. It's hard. But I thank God for the experience right now of lifing, because if this didn't happen, I would still be running very fast on that wheel, and I was on a wheel to burnout. I was there already, and just not to continue to rant about it. I came home and prayed to God to take the job away. I did. I came home one night. I was so exhausted. I said, Lord, this ain't it no more. You can have this. Okay? I said, this ain't it no more. You can have this. The next day I got laid off. Hallelujah. He heard me. He still hears me because here we are 1 year later and ain't missed the bill. Okay? So listen, I'm not
Won't they do it?
Amen, somebody. I don't play when it comes to the Lord in my prayers. That's a whole nother video for a whole nother day. But as of right now, I am really trying to transition careers, recognize what my strong suits are, and then deciding, do I really want to go back and work for someone else? Because it seems like what I know to be true is if someone can feed you, they can starve you. And I that became so evident in my last job because it seemed like every time I turned around, they were putting a block up and putting a block up and threatening this and threatening that. And I was like, you know what? I don't want anybody to have the responsibility of feeding me because they can starve me. And the minute I don't move like they want me to move, they're threatening to starve me.
Rich lady of leisure status.
You feel me? That's her goal.
No, but I mean,
no, I'm saying like that, and that's a fine goal to have.
No, but that doesn't mean I still wouldn't work. But
oh, we know you would volunteer your life.
No, but what I'm saying is, to me, I feel like a rich lady of leisure too is if you still working.
That's right.
But you got your own thing.
But you working for you. And for me,
if you making good money.
Yeah, and for me, I feel like if anything gonna put me in the ground, I want to be put in the ground behind something that I'm passionate about and something that I'm driving. At this point in my life, I've crossed into an age where I'm like, we good, love. Like I can't. So that's where I am as far as career, and that is the place that I'm advising you all from. I'm advising you from a place where I worked extremely hard, nonstop, and I played the game, and the game got me so far. And then the game started to play me because then they started to make me feel like I had to do all of these things. Like I should be grateful to be in this position because not many people like me are in this position. And they also tried to downplay my education. I was told that it didn't matter. I have an MBA in business and marketing. I have an undergrad degree in biology. I'm not dumb. I'm a little slow at times.
No, you're not.
But,
no, you're not.
You know, and recently I have a certification in data analytics. So, you know.
All this education.
Baby, we got a lot of education. But.
And that's another subject at another time, too. But
we'll talk about that. But so we don't.
So, honestly, she's speaking from experience with this topic.
Yeah.
Like, in true fashion. She's speaking from experience with the things that we've touched on.
Yeah.
She's dealt with it. And not just at her last job. She's dealt with it throughout her other jobs. You know, and...
Yeah. My career has been a struggle. My 15 years in retail, I'll tell anybody, retail is not for the weak.
It's not.
It is not. Like, that's a different beast. Like, corporate, yeah, that's you mixing it, but woo, baby, retail, especially luxury retail for a person of color, you'll jump off something if you ain't too stable, behind all that politics. You really will. And I truly believe that all of that politics is the reason why I can't get back into retail. Let's just talk about it. All that politics is the reason why I can't get back into retail.
When you are a person that is vocal, or you see stuff that's not right, or you voice a concern, and people don't like that, sometimes they will ice you out, right? And that would freeze you out. And the thing about it is, with Oshonda, yes, her prayer life is something else. She definitely got me beat. Oshonda has prayed about stuff, and God has answered her prayer every single time, right? But it doesn't mean that there hasn't been maybe some struggle or times when she didn't understand, but he's always come through, always. And so that I see within her a testimony. I do, and I see God's goodness and graciousness in her, because I know how deep her faith is, right? Even when it gets hard. The thing about it is, and sometimes I'd say to her, like, when she's applying for these jobs, or she's had interviews and gotten to the third or fourth interview and nothing comes out of it. And then a lot of times when that happens, it's a retail job. And then I'll say, but didn't you tell God you didn't want to do this anymore?
I did, but it's kind of easy.
But exactly. but my point is, but you told God this is what you did not want to do anymore. And then you going out for it, and I know why you're doing it, because you're like, hey, look here, we got to get some money coming in, right? Or we need to make this thing shake. But the thing about it is, I think he sits back and he's like, why she keep trying to get into retail? I thought she told me that this is not what she wanted to do. I'm going to keep blocking it because she told me she didn't want to get back in it, right?
I don't.
And then she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I will also say this. She's very, 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 very good, and has been very, very smart about how she's done with investments and stuff like that. And so that's been another, I think, great thing. And we'll talk about that another time too. Okay. But I think, and I think with bringing this up, and I'm just going to be honest with you, I think with bringing this up, because again, I think she's reached out to people she knows. I've reached out to some people, not everybody, because sometimes everybody doesn't want to help you.
They don't, and I don't really care for reaching out and asking people for things.
But they reach out to me or you.
I mean, they do, and I try to come through for people. I've either hired enough people, or I've gotten them jobs, or coached them on how to interview to get them into a certain place. I'm gonna say this: I know where my help comes from.
Yes.
When I help you, I know what place that comes from, and I know the intention behind it. There ain't none. There's zero. I expect nothing in return. You know what I'm saying? That's why I help. Like, child, I don't want nothing from you. What's your question?
Yeah.
Like, who can I reach out to for you? Or what can I write?
Or you also know, too, how hard it was for you, baby,
and
to
that's
get into
it. I know how hard it was for me.
Or to stop somebody from going in a pitfall or something.
Jumping into a pit. I know how hard it was for me. I know how hard it is for me now. So when I was in a position of influence, I was slanging it out. I was helping who I could. If I saw you had potential, I believed in you. I was that seat at the table that was putting my mouth on folks. Yeah, put them in this position. Absolutely. I can stand behind it. Let me write this. Let me go talk to this person over here. This, use me as a reference. This is that. And even when I left, a lot of people use me as a reference, and it helps. I'm going to always help you.
I just want to figure out a way, and I think maybe this is, but I want to figure out a way where when individuals are in situations or positions like this, like, what can we do, right, to help and build our circle of influence, or build our really a true network. And even if it's just, having someone that you can talk to, like, recently I just had someone reach out to me with about a young lady that's in the same field as me, and she is at a point where she's like, I don't know if this is what I want to continue to do. And she this person connected me with this young lady, and we had a phenomenal conversation the first time we talked. And she honestly actually helped me probably come up with some decisions that I'm making myself from a professional standpoint. And so with that being said, though, it was like, not only was I speaking to her and making her think about some stuff, she was doing the same for me.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I just feel like when you know people are in certain positions, it's not always like, oh, what they want from me, right? It's more so, but what blessing and help can you be to them? It's not always about someone looking or having their hand out. Maybe you could just even say one thing to them that can put them on the track of the road where they need to go. And I think that's my whole thing, right? Like even with my sister, I just feel like, man, this is a great person with a huge heart and has helped so many people. Yeah, sometimes do I also sit back and like, okay, God, what are you doing? You know, you I know she's praying to you and she's asking for this and that. And I know she's trying to figure this thing out, right? And sometimes it gets rough. But, you know, I guess he like, mind your business, Jaysha, I got this. And I'm like, all right then. But,
I'm leave you alone.
Yeah, leave alone then. Well, let me get back to my stuff.
Let me get back to my prayers.
Okay. But, you know, so I think, you know, for us, the reason why we want to talk about, you know, women and burnout is because we both have experienced it. She has experienced it. I am currently going through it myself. Like, really, I'm going through it. And, you know, we talked about it a minute, like how do we even discuss this and be transparent about it, and hopefully it will help someone else, right? Share their story or be like, man, that's me too. Maybe I am burned out, maybe I'm depressed, let me take a step back, let me look at this. You know, what if this is not the career for me? What do I need to do? Where do I start? And I hope this helps someone. I really do. You know, to understand that you're not by yourself. If you feel like you don't have a voice, if you feel like you're not valued, speak up, walk away, do what your mental health is so important. It is so important.
It's super important.
And so as she was saying, with the freedom of having your own thing, not saying it's not going to be hard work. Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and it's a lot of hard work and sleepless nights.
Absolutely.
But you don't have to answer to anybody, right? Or maybe your employees that you hire. But as far as somebody else telling you what you can and cannot do, this right here will always be the thing that can be your downfall or lift you up, right? And I think if you can't control this, man, that's a scary.
It's the story you tell yourself, and that's what I tell her all the time. It's about the narrative that you're telling yourself. If the narrative that you're telling yourself is always a negative narrative, then that is the energy that's going to come out of every situation. It's going to be negative because that's the narrative that you keep telling yourself, right? So one thing you have to do is tell yourself a different story. See yourself being successful. See yourself coming out at the top.
Baby, I see myself as a rich lady Alicia.
Okay? You know, be specific in what it is you see. And this is not a joke. Exactly. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain.
Yes, yep.
And everybody now on social media is on manifestation. I manifested this. Let me tell y'all something. Manifestation is not magic, and it is not new. It is the Bible saying, write the vision and make it plain. Make it plain. And then you work your plan and plan your work. That's all it is. So now we're calling it manifestation. And that's fine. In some cultures, they call them sutras. When you constantly write what you want over and over and over again, the same thing over and over again. It's a sutra. You constantly writing it down, and it will make itself manifest. But you have to tell yourself the right story here. One. But if your mind is not strong enough to support the right story, you need to go talk to somebody. Okay? I want to normalize Black people going to therapy.
Normalize it.
Let's normalize it.
Don't be afraid of it.
Go
I love mine.
A therapist.
I love her.
Okay? Like I tell my therapist, shout out to Darren, I keep you on payroll because you know my secrets. I tell her that. That's all I said, baby, you got to stay on payroll because you know my secrets. I can't let you go.
My therapist just thinks I'm funny. I love it.
Right.
No.
Mine, every time I tell a joke, I be like, you think I'm crazy, don't you? That little joke I done told you, going to flip that back around to why I'm traumatized. Okay, I see what you did there with that joke. You're going to circle it back around to trauma.
But we do need to normalize
But we do need to normalize that. So if you feel as if you can't get out of a headspace that's going to tell you a different story, then there is some behaviors that need to be addressed, and there's some emotions that need to be addressed. That's number one. Number two, I feel like we need to all be in service to each other. That's the problem. That's why we're not winning, is because we're afraid to serve each other. We need to serve each other, because if we don't serve each other, we're not going to make it out here in these streets. If I don't use what I have to be in service to you, then I'm doing you a disservice, and I'm doing myself a disservice. The root for being humble is to find your place in the world and serve in it. That's what being humble means. So for me, I feel like any skill set that I have or any way that I can help you, I'm going to help you, because my duty is to serve. That's the same way she is, but we're a little different in our service. It's a cap on my service. This one right here is the ultimate server. But I do believe that we need to serve each other, but I also do believe that we need to listen to each other, and you need to have somebody that you can talk to in regards to how you feel, and talk to them and not feel like you're going to be judged.
Yeah.
Or they're going to weaponize the information that you gave them against you, or that someone that can't relate. I would encourage you in your peer circle and in mine on my phone. I do a mental check on my friends. I ask them from 1 to 10, where are you personal, professional? And it's probably personal, professional, and health. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in those areas? If they are 5 and below, how can I help you? How can I help you? I do it weekly with the people in my peer circle. If I forget, then it's bi-weekly, but I always ask. That's how
Sometimes we don't ask, and that's the thing. It's like you could see somebody, like I said earlier, it's like you could see somebody but not really see them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think, a lot of times, that's what we struggle at. We see people, but we don't really see them. We don't really hear them. And, again, I want to say to my sisters out there, my black women, my black queens, no disrespect to any other race, any other woman, but to my black women, to my black queens, stay strong. And even when you can't be strong, let somebody know, right, that you're not strong in that moment, and ask for help, and ask for someone to lift you up in prayer, and just in your time of need, right? And don't try to be everything for everybody. It's time to be selfish. It's time to say, you know what, I'm about to be selfish and take care of myself, because nobody else is going to do it, professionally and personally.
Absolutely.
That's just the God's honest truth. And this was laid on our heart to do this. I know, like my sister said, we've done the hauls. That was fun, and that was great. Our mom wants us to do more of those too. Like, that takes money. But anyway, but this is something, again, that we wanted to do, and actually put out there and say, you know what, this is what we deal with. This is what we go through. Our friends are dealt with and are dealing with and go through. Why not put it out there? And even if it doesn't touch you, it's going to touch somebody. And hopefully that person will say, you know what, this helped me in some way, that, I try to be a superwoman, or I'm not valued at work, right? And I see that I'm burning out. And so what you need to do is take care of self.
Absolutely.
Please.
Put words to it. Take care of yourself. Put down in the comments if you are experiencing burnout, what that looks like for you, or put down in there what
helpful.
Yes, what self-care things do you do?
I like massages.
She does. What self-care things do you do to help you past your burnout? Yesha says she likes massages. And she does. She loves to go to the spa.
If I could do it every single day, every week, I would, y'all. Yeah. But when I become that rich lady, at least
it's on the way. My self-care is may not be the best self-care, but I like to smoke cigars.
She does.
And mind my business. I ain't lying to you.
My new self-care is this new wine, too, that I just came up on called Stella Rosa Black.
Baby, we gonna be calling the AA behind her and this Stella Rosa.
That's
Black.
my new self-care, and I don't even drink like that.
Well, can y'all pray for her? Please pray for her. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank you for visiting us.
Subscribe,
and then like, and then put some messages down in the comments. Let us know down in the comments if you want to see a video of us, meaning who we are. Like when I said I'll explain to you who she is, vice versa. If you want to know about that, maybe we'll do like a random get to know us. I think y'all already know me. Just based on this segment, I ain't got no job. I be home. You know everything about me.
That's all right, because she's about to be an entrepreneur.
But don't worry about it. God's working on me, and he's working some things out through me. So please don't feel bad for me.
But if you got a job, let your girl know.
But let me know if your people's out here.
Got a job she can work on for a plan. While she work on her plan.
Whatever it is, y'all out here. Nah, for real though. We appreciate y'all for stopping by. Thank you for watching the video. Tell your auntie I said, hey, I'm going to call her back. Tell her, don't worry, I just been busy, but I'm going to call her back. And tell her, don't be sending me the voicemail when I call her back, because she be mad.
Y'all take care. Take care of yourself. Be blessed. Bye.